We're back yet again, the threesome of cricket.com, and it doesn't get better than this because I have returned to beloved Bangalore after a vacation of sorts. Last Monday, you saw me doing it from Thailand. I was in Sri Lanka. We'll tell you all about that. But the thumbnail suggests that we're going to have an absolute round. And it's sad because it is going to be against my beloved Virat Kohli, but we're going to call it for what it is. My name's Apni Chaite. As you can see, a man who's been doing a lot of things on our channel, Women's Cricket Wise, Akshay Kumaraswamy, has that beaming smile on his face after RCB recruited about 4 women cricketers yesterday in the auction. We'll talk about that. And a man who's, of course, had a special weekend personally, and a happy birthday to Nikhil Pope, but belated one. Nix, I'll start with you. A year wiser, but in all honesty, it's a year younger. So you're 21 now, 22?
You can make it from the white beard now. That hardly getting younger and not getting younger watching these guys bowl. So Travis said 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, but okay, lots of learnings. Special part of this journey as well. Had a very interesting birthday, a rare one, full of religious activities and fun and games with family. So there were so many matches. I was always peeping into the, oh, this game, oh, this auction, oh, this match. And I'm like, no, I'm here also, don't worry. So yeah, it's fun. Sometimes you have to give people that much importance because they have given a lot for you to be doing all this. So grateful for that.
And I was one of the guys who actually called Nikhil and wished him instead of some random happy birthday bro in the WhatsApp chat. So look, I always have respect for the top dogs of CDC. So Nikhil, hope you'll have a great year ahead and just make it a teaser of what is to come. Right, Akshay, coming to you next, my friend. It's been ages that I've spoken to you virtually. Right now, we're doing this again after a week. But how you been? A lot of women's cricket content you've churned out, including Danny Watt's interview. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been great fun to be honest. Like you said, a lot of women's cricket that's going on, and I've actually probably been following each of it actively. It's been a very long time since I've been watching or tracking 3 different bilaterals simultaneously and watching each of them very keenly. And not one of them is the Gavaskar Trophy, by the way. So it goes out to show I'm genuinely enjoying this period, but of course goes on to say कि इतना मतलब बारीकी से देखोगे तो naturally, given how India has been playing and all the selection moves and all of that, it definitely hurts you even more. But it's been great fun. Had a great chat with Neha yesterday, guys. Do check that out if you haven't already. The WPL auction happened and we've reviewed each team. We've dissected into each team's strengths, weaknesses, and beyond that as well. So do check that out. Been great fun. Watching a lot of cricket, playing a bit of cricket as well. So that's something I always love to do. And that's probably the only thing I love to do more than watching cricket. So yeah, probably a good week, so to say.
Yeah, we actually were thinking of planning an in-house game between the cricket.com guys this week because one of our old colleagues has now moved on to not so greener pastures. I don't want to tell everyone where he's going, but Shubh Agarwal, shout out to you if you're watching the show. And we'll probably get a game in before our boozy session on a Wednesday night. Apparently, we're going again, Brooks and Bonds. I can't believe that. Anyway, a story for another day. Plenty of stories to share. From my Thailand trip, the wedding was pretty wild, so we'll get into it as we move along. But like I was saying to you guys, the thumbnail suggests that we are going to go hard pretty much on India. 51 for 4 is what it stands currently at stumps in this Brisbane test. And it just makes you think about who's going to be literally the scapegoat here. Is it going to be Gautam Gambhir? Is it the BCCI for not hiring a batting coach? Or is it the batters themselves? Lots to talk about. The MNL poll will be on in a bit. But as you guys know, like this video and we'll get started with that. A little bit about Thailand. Akshay, have you been in Thailand before? I mean, generally.
Sri Lanka is Thailand, no? But batao, kaise hain Thailand ke kisse? And you've been there, what, 4 times, 5 times before?
Yeah, I've done that now 4 or 5 times because of a certain thing being legalized. But it's good fun. You can play some golf. You can go to a water park, enjoy yourself. You can get a massage or 2. There was a few things that I didn't do on this trip, which I was contemplating. You know that crazy Turkish ear wax removal, which is like really good for you, but it takes a lot out of you. So they do that in all these kind of shops, which kind of is a self.
Is that euphemism for something, or is this actual ear wax that's being removed?
Ear wax, bro. Actual ear wax. It's called some sort of thing. But I was thinking of getting that or the Turkish hammam, which is also another prominent feature in one of these mani-pedi parlors.
That's painful. Yeah, I've gotten one of those done. It's very painful, to be honest. It's not, like I don't derive any pleasure out of it. Like people say it's very relieving or relaxing. I've never felt that way, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I did get a massage or two, which I can't, of course, venture into the details upon because this is, of course, PG-18. At least I think so after all the stuff that we say. But if you guys are listening to us on Spotify, give us a quick like there. Akshay told us a ridiculous stat last week. We're in the top 10 of some country somewhere. So we're doing people a world of good every Monday. Nix, have you been to Sri Lanka or Thailand?
Yeah, both with family. So let's move on.
Okay. Let's move on. I was quite disappointed in terms of just the food there, guys, because there's so
The
much
food,
bread
good.
and rice. Like, sure, we have our Indian cravings at times, and I was really missing a dosa and the fermented foods and idli or need dosa and stuff. But every time waking up, going to 7-Eleven, getting one of those things was ridiculous. The one that I enjoyed the most is the fact that Sri Lankan barman serving me my mojito in the wedding was celebrating India's downfall in that Adelaide test because I was watching it closely. And it's so sad, Nix, that you can't actually watch India cricket if you're traveling to these countries. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you have a VPN service, you can. But like, I was struggling so much to get even Hotstar connected in Sri Lanka or Thailand. So that's a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I think the vacation is done for me. Are you guys having any vacation or holidays? Because I know there's a lot of cricket to talk about. I just want to like mellow it on this cold Monday evening. Are you guys having any plans for Christmas or New Year's, or all good?
My friends are coming down, so we are planning on having a very boozy Christmas to say the least. Though New Year's के लिए भी यहाँ पे रहेंगे, so fingers crossed it'll be fun. You know, Church Street, Brigade Road, and just doing a random pub crawl or something. Yeah, that's the plan.
Next,
And I'll
you?
also, yeah, I'll be from a new location. Hopefully, better Wi-Fi, better network. Baki, let's see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, do you guys remember what you did on New Year's this year? Because I remember I was just at home, whiskey in hand, cheese board around, FIFA and like close vicinity. I didn't do anything. It was just a new time.
Same whiskey, not a cheese board. It was whiskey, Netflix, a lot of crisps. I had a cousin of mine coming down from UK, so she brought me this bag of, I'm forgetting what the brand is. उनका बहुत अच्छा वाला brand ऐसा कुछ तो लाके she brought. So it was just whiskey, crisps, and Netflix. I in fact was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
While Next,
I
I
was
like
with
quite
my,
New Year's. I think New Year's is overrated. I don't know if you're with me or against me.
we've just decided not we, my daughter has decided that every New Year we should be away from home and it should just be me, my wife, and she. So she picks the chit and we go where she picks it. So we were in Statue of Unity last year in the neighboring state of Gujarat. Good quality me time, played a lot of indoor games and stuff. And it's good. Sometimes, as I said, they do a lot for me without saying. So that is the least that I can do and do what they want me to do.
Sometimes in Nix's household, it feels like the little one is the home minister, the wife's the prime minister, and he's the
Obviously,
finance minister. He needs a sanction of all the stuff to get any plan moved, which is great. Let's quickly take some comments before we move into the nitty gritties. Shubham Gupta saying, I'm back. Good to see you. We're back as well on this Monday. Come on, start the run saying, Ankar Biswas. Like the show, and we will, of course, get into all the talking points. Belated wishes, Nikhil Bhai saying Vishal Kulkarni. Good to know that. Are we going to discuss Bumrah? I mean, I don't want to mention that word, but Bumrah's also, I mean, in the news, and Isa Gua's in the news for what she said, the whole MVP thing. We'll talk about that as much as possible. Belated happy birthday to Nikhil. Again, lots of wishes coming our way, which is all good. Keep your comments coming through. And yes, Pava, good to mention that it is King Red. So happy yesterday. And the ironic, get it this for a stat of the day, you know, we keep bantering Man City in terms of that 115 charges because all of their financial irregularities, and they'll eventually be pulled out. Next, between United's first goal and second goal, it was 115 seconds. You can't script that. You just can't script that. And 1 + 1 + 5 equals Tala for a reason, but that's again meandering to another chat. We have a new guy in the comments. I've never read this man's name out, John Baby Pinadat. But if you're new, please, of course, keep telling us how much you want to talk about Kohli. We will talk about him in just a bit. We'll also talk about Shreyas Iyer, how he's done quadruple this season, the fact that he's won the IPL, the Irani, he won the SMAT, and of course, I think he also won the Ranji. So he's in the limelight. We'll talk about the best of the SMAT, how Gotidar apparently is a word going around, like the word is being used over hype right now, even though he played a couple of good shots. And we'll talk about Bangladesh, West Indies, New Zealand, England, whatever cricket's happened, we're at it. Right, so let's start with where do we start? We'll start with potentially Virat Kohli and his shambles, because I feel, is it a question of this next? Do they not care? Or is it a question of this next? Do they not know how to defend? Or Akshay, is it this question? Do they take their place for granted? We will answer all of it, because I feel like, is it also the IPL which has crept into most of these guys and not biding their time like good old school cricketers? We can talk about it right now. So what do you guys feel about the recent shambles that we've seen, which is more repetitive? It's like almost you can close your eyes and think that this is going to happen over and over again. We can start with Kohli's. Nick, over to you.
And to all those three questions, I think of course they can. Of course they know how to defend. They are or not, that's a different debate. And are they taking their place for granted? That is something maybe for sure only they can answer. And I completely agree to your point about being repetitive. See, the one thing, just taking a backseat here in terms of context, that the one thing that you always like to see of people who have played so much cricket is how do they evolve. Now, you look at some of the yesteryear players and you saw how Sachin evolved after a tennis elbow. You saw how Saurav Ganguly came. You saw how Rahul Dravid had a kind of a second wing, maybe that 1-2 that he had all alone. And you want to see how do these guys come back from something that's so obvious that, okay, this is something that will trouble them. With Virat, I'm still waiting that how will he solve this problem that, he's just batting one way. He's just anticipating that, no, I want to play the cover drive. I will play the cover drive, but I'm getting out on balls that are not even going to bother the stumps. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? How will he come back? Every inning, I'm looking forward to more leaves, but every inning, I'm seeing the same thing. So maybe it's my fault that I expect, but that is something that leaves a very weird feeling in me that this is not the Virat we knew. I mean, and again, I could be in isolation or minority here, but because whenever you saw Virat was challenged, he did something to change. Either it is doubling down on it or changing something that was like, okay, now I'm not going to play on back foot. He did something. In the recent times, though, I don't know if you guys feel that there is an obvious or clear change that this is what I will do to not do this. So, to me, that is something that leaves a very. It's not a place that I ever thought I would be with Virat, especially. And the dismissal today. I mean, you look up to seniors to show the way. And it's not. I mean, how sad it is that all of us know what will happen. And for it to actually happen again and again and again, it is very. I mean, I'm sure he feels worse, far worse, because he's the one who's playing it. Maybe he's practicing it enough, but it's not coming out. Now, I don't know where do you draw the line that I will stop this. For the first 20, 50 balls, I will not play them. Nobody's saying do a Sachin Tendulkar. See, you have to be very contextual. That was played in a different era, on a different deck, against a different opponent. Things are not going to be exactly similar. But Smith did this in this very first test, in this very test. First 128 balls out, didn't play any shot into the offside. Just get yourself in. We saw what he did in Perth, but every time you're not going to get 84 overs. So, I don't know what to expect, to be very honest. I had kept my expectations very low, and this is going even further down. So, I really don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's really gut-wrenching as a Virat Kohli fan to watch, especially more so now with Australian timings. You're setting up your alarms and you're thinking, oh my God. I woke up and I saw literally 3 balls of his innings. I mean, I know it was a short 16-ball stay, but I knew it was the carrot outside off stump which should get him. You could always paint a picture in someone's head and they tell you exactly. This is the 4th out of the 5th time already in this tour that he's been caught behind. And Akshay just makes you think about, yes, his first innings howlers and how that average doesn't reflect well at all. You can also take a look at data which we pulled out in one of our articles in terms of how Kohli fetches at that 4th, 5th ball areas, and it is ridiculous. This one is another one which got an eye. Most dismissals in tests since 2020 behind, and Virat is 17, caught by the wicketkeeper, so it doesn't really bode well for him. Now, across formats also, there was one depiction with regards to how his form has just been falling off, especially this year. I know that he's had a couple of pivotal knocks, but again, that's just probably been paper over cracks for quite a while. So my question to you now, Akshay, is now he has about another 4 innings in this series, potentially 5. So how could he kind of put this behind? I mean, it's an ego shot, this. It's a most productive shot, yes. But it's almost like he needs to just, I don't know, take a page and do something differently.
He surely has to, man. And to be honest, again, it is very disappointing, not only because it is coming from someone like a Virat Kohli, but given the context of what the series actually means, there's a lot more at stake and not just the series to be won. And I guess it will sort of become a bit more easier given that the last two tests are now going to be held in Melbourne and Sydney. So you would want to believe in some sense. Oh, that's actually good, Vishal. Kafi sahi
Very good
statement.
comment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spotify वालों के लिए I just read it out loud. But it's like 10 साल से छोड़ा है यार. Why can't he leave balls outside the fifth and sixth stump? Completely agree with Vishal there. But it is very disappointing, and just the manner of those dismissals and call it the repetitive nature, call it what you want. It takes me back to this conversation. I heard or had, I don't even remember if this was second hand or first hand, but I remember a former analyst who's worked with Virat Kohli speaking about how it's not like analysts don't know Virat. For again, we're just I'm using this example. Jhan pe, a lot of conversations 2 or 3 years ago was about his game against spin and how he refuses to attack spin. He's got a very low strike rate, and all of that chatter was going about. When Virat was being spoken about. So tab wahi baat hui thi where the analyst said it's not like we don't know, and it's not like Virat himself doesn't know, but who is going to bell the cat? Who's actually going to have that hard conversation with him? Similarly, right now, it's an open secret that Virat Kohli has a weakness outside the off stump that not just Virat Kohli, I'm pretty sure even the backroom staff is well aware of. Now the question is, has anyone had a conversation with him? Firstly, because again, you need to understand that it's not as simple as just going up to Virat, putting a hand around the shoulder and saying, "Ha, Virat, dekho yaar, aisa hai, waisa hai." It doesn't work that way, especially with senior players like Avnish mentioned. It also comes down to ego. There is always going to be a bit of ego. You might be the most humble person, you might be the most secure person. Even then, when you've done something for 15 years, there will, and especially at the highest level, when you've achieved what someone like Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma has achieved, आ जाता है थोड़ा बहुत. I wouldn't fault them for that. खुद में आ जाता है, हम थोड़ा बहुत ये कर लेते हैं, हमें आ जाता है. So now the question is he willing to change? I just don't know right now. I don't want to say that he's taking his position for granted, because knowing how these players train and practice and all of that, it would be a very stupid statement to make. But at this point in time, something really needs to give in. Like, either make a change. People talk about Sachin Tendulkar. I remember reading this stat just early this morning, or reading this tweet from way back in 12 this morning, jahan pe someone was talking about how average of Cheteshwar Pujara way back in 2012, Murli Vijay, Virat Kohli, all of these are averaging in excess of 50. On the other hand, Sachin Tendulkar averages 26, but he's still been playing Test cricket for India for the last 2 years. When will this be addressed? Similarly, now is the case with Virat Kohli, except the problem right now for Team India is तब तो पुजारा कोहली विजय everyone was scoring runs. अभी वो youngsters runs नहीं बना रहे, which is why now the onus is on Virat Kohli. The spotlight is on Virat Kohli. I'm not saying this is the reason, but which is why it's even more important basically for Virat Kohli to also perform. He cannot simply hold on to his position. तो अभी देखना पड़ेगा क्या होता है. I really hope he comes good, or I really hope Gautam Gambhir or Team India or the management have it in them to call a spade and say, boss, it's time for you to move on. We have to bring in new blood.
That's the thing, because like if you look at India's test itinerary after this BGT, they only play test next WTC cycle, which starts in England. Those 5 tests, and we've known Virat's history in England, good and bad. So again, does he get picked on merit over there? Not sure, because if he's nicking off in Australia, which he normally thrives in these pitches, then England's going to be a different kettle of fish, and in fact a harder one. Before I get to Nick's, I'll just take a couple of comments. Lots of them pouring through this evening, and understandably so, because India, honestly, another thing which really got to me, and I know Harsha Bogle mentioned this on air, that we've just seen the dead bat defense go out of the game. KL Rahul was doing it beautifully. I think KL plays super late, and I think he gave me a lot of conviction when I was watching him this morning. But none of the other guys have that. They all are kind of too flimsy, and they almost are taking the piss. They're not like really putting a price in their wicket. Like, it's almost like they're just having a rinse and repeat thing in the IPL where you're playing quick innings and you're coming and going. This is like a test match cricket. That's why I think we all said someone like a Pujara, someone of that mold, a Dravid, is needed in this team, no matter how crazy you want to play your cricket with Pant and all of that. We'll get to Pant as well. We've written a good article about him. Right, Introspect saying Virat can't bat a new ball now with muddled head. He should be shifted to 5 or 6 now, and calls should be taken after the series. I think they've already done that with Rohit. I don't think they're going to do that with Virat. And with Virat, it's almost a mind thing. I think Dinesh Karthik also mentioned this as well. It's about him fighting his own demons. Ashutosh Papa saying our batting is Jaiswal, KL, NKR, then O Palanhare, Nirgo or Nyare. This is a Lagan song, right?
Yes. Nirgod or Nyare, tumre bin humna kaun nahi. Yes.
Yeah. Who better than Gambhir saying Kohli with Delhi slang and curse words? It's not going to be a straight up conversation. I think even Gambhir will try to be sugarcoating it as much as we think he's going to be vociferous and going to be going all out at Kohli. Keshav Agarwal saying, you guys feel if people like Sachin Tendulkar go and tell Virat to do this technique, that I'm sorry to say he will not listen. I don't think you can transcend a message to Virat like that, because he also knows that he's been living by that sword and dying by that sword in terms of the cover drive, because he probably plays that the best in the world, but he also gets out like that ridiculous amount of times. Ashutosh Bajpai had a good one saying, Virat is like, fuck all of y'all. I'm the greatest. I'll play my shots. Nobody call me to advise me in crying noise and shut up because you haven't played international cricket. I can see how Virat is adamant like that, because even all the stuff that he was kind of giving back to the commentators about his strike rates during the IPL, he was obviously knowing what's said about him. So he is very, very, what's the right word? Just aware about all those things. John Baby saying Virat's mental aspect puts more pressure on making runs and allowing himself to settle in. If he can allow himself to spend time in the middle, he can score runs just like Perth in the second innings. Now, what you mentioned there, John, is spending time in the middle. It's not just a problem with Virat. It's a theme which is happening in test matches for India. And Nix, I just want to jump onto that topic right now, because I know I love Yashasvi Jaiswal so far in his short test career. And he's been kind of, I don't know, haphazard with his shot selection in the last couple of tests. Maybe he's got carried away or whatnot. But just the fact that all these guys just, if they spend the first 4 or 5 overs, even if they're like 1 of 25 balls, they can catch up. So what are they worried about? Or is it, do you think the IPL's mentality has just crept in so much that no one wants to bide their time? Everyone's just kind of going into that baseball direction.
No, tell him down the river, but you can look at KL Rahul. How is he playing? Is he not leaving the ball? Is he not playing close to the body? These basics do not go out of the game. The catch is you can bat wherever you want to, or do whatever you want to. You need to have a game that works for you. Bottom line, you look at the people who are scoring runs in this series. You look at the people who have scored runs in this very test match. Steve Smith, did he look great? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've beaten 100 balls, if you can be there for 200 balls. Travis said there is a method that works to him. We can get on his run later. But the point is, they have a method that is working, and working in terms of consistent runs. See, Jaiswal, again, we have said this in the MNL as well, that our expectations have to be tampered because first test in Australia and all of that. To me, it still doesn't excuse his last 3 dismissals. Today, even worse in terms of first test, second test, you can say, okay, first ball, he got one, couldn't do much. Okay. Bro, today you clipped a very full ball straight to mid-wicket. And then you're looking at mid-wicket, like, ye kab tha? Bro, wo wahi tha. Where is that game awareness that, do I need to play the shot in the air? Do I need to? First ball also, he could have gotten out. It was an edge that went. Sorry, you've done a ritual. Sorry.
I've done a ritual. I was saying, is it an ego thing in terms of whatever he said to Stark also in the first test? You're bowling too slow, and they're having that little fascinating subplot between them. Do you think it was a cat and mouse thing where Stark, second ball, he was like, yeah, okay, fine. I think Jaiswal's in a good mood. Give it to him, and he's fallen for it.
See, I don't think it's personally, I don't think it's a bit of a battle between those two. But see, the thing is, Australia is a kind of country and place where, in terms of test venue, that it's difficult for people to score runs because they are a very good battery of pacers. And if they find something in you, they don't leave that spot. And you see, that is a pattern with every Indian batter. Now, Jaiswal got out LBW in that Adelaide test, and then he's been out caught driving. Now, today he knows, and we discussed this when he got out to Nandeberger as well in South Africa, that left arm, the angle is bothering him. You see that average is, it's not of someone who we expect to score a lot of runs. So clearly there is a problem there. And the thing that I want these guys to do is sometimes you'll have to detach yourself from the white ball format. Because this is my opinion, I feel they are playing too much cricket too consistently in different formats of the game that they are not able to work out that we'll have to do some things differently for different venues. There is a reason why only select people come good in Test cricket, because the demands of the game are that different. So whether it is Jaiswal, whether it is Gill, they will have to spend more time finding their game in different situations and in different conditions. Because now Jaiswal, he was beaten in Perth quite a bit, but still he showed enough application that no, I'll give myself time. Why has that gone out of the window? You've shown us you can do it. If it is tougher condition, this cannot be an excuse. Okay, I want to play my shots. Or TK, play your shot, but the ball has to be there. If you think Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood will give you bad balls, then sorry, bro, this is wrong format. So, to me, I'm still not going to be as harsh with Jaiswal, because first time you have tour in that country, that set of bowling attack is very, very troublesome, and they found the chin, and now you're getting out in the worst ways possible. So, had he been got out pulling the short ball or been cramped for room and the cut, fair enough. But you've got out to a couple of half volleys already. So you are already now playing the bowler and the plan in your mind. So it is not even about the banter about slow and fast. It's just about you fearing, oh, what if I get out the same way I did last time? And then you have second thoughts and all of that. So I feel it is something that the team should be held accountable in terms of what are the people around these guys doing. In terms of your whoever is the batting coach, the designation doesn't matter. But somebody will have to have a word with them that this is how we'll solve this forward for you all. So I don't know if it happens already. I'm sure it does, but it's not reflecting.
Yeah, with Jaiswal, I generally think it's more of a mental aspect than the technical aspect. And I think Stark has gotten his head notorious, saying Stark took Jaiswal's banter personally, dismissed him on all occasions since then. Adyan Singhal, I know you're putting out a stat, and I'll take a lot of comments. Good to see Atya Bhatt join the show. Pava joined the show. I think Pava was already there. Ritik Gautam, Nani Kofor, good to great's always been there. Adyan saying, I saw a stat somewhere that Virat averages 15 some 100 odd innings when Pujara bats at 3 in 39 when he doesn't. Gill can't be a number 3 who averages a mere 8 against the ball hitting the stumps. Let's talk about Gill, Akshay, because he got out to an absolute perler to Stark in that day-night test, which castled him neck and crock. And then you take a look at what happened this time, albeit the flying bison pulled off a remarkable catch. It was always hard hands from Gill, which could lead to that inevitable dismissal. So now we gave Gill a little bit of a caveat that, okay, prior to the CDs, he's been to Australia before, that 91 and the 50 plus average in the country, cool. But that hasn't come to the fore. Even in this position, he's been blowing hot, blowing cold. So now has Stark gone to his mind? Can he come out of these next 5 innings and be like, look, I'm still here for the long haul? Or do you think, again, you see differently?
With Gill, to be honest, we've been speaking for a while now that number 3 is clearly not his position, especially in Test cricket. Nikhil himself has been, I don't know if supporter is the right word, but he's been vocal about the fact that Gill is better suited for India at number 5, number 6, somewhere there, down there. At number 3, it's an issue with the technique, that the way he bats, you cannot. With Jaiswal, I agree with Nikhil Bhai. First of all, I will cut him some slack. It is his maiden tour. It's not easy. And secondly, yeah, the pedigree of the opposition, it's right up there. So it's not easy. I know all of us expected a lot from Jaiswal, especially given how he started his Test career. So naturally, expectations stay. Despite there being a lot of chatter around ki expectations utna zyada mat rakho, invariably we also are human. We want to believe against hope ki he will be able to do it. Hoping against hope, that is, sorry. But with Jaiswal, I can still understand that I'll still give him the benefit of doubt. But with Gill, it's been an issue that he's not necessarily worked on, and I don't know how can he look at it. Hard hands, you say, but there's also the issue of how he plays deliveries. Yeah, I don't know what to point my finger at right now, because the way he's been dismissed, it's been just one mode of dismissal each time. इसीलिए मैं अभी थोड़ा I'm still concerned right now, but the bigger issue right now is who are your options then? If you don't want to bat Gill at number 3, then who do you go to? And I don't know if I have a clear-cut winner there as well, which is why...
No, I would, sorry to interject. I would probably polish and mold Gill and tell him that, listen, just bide your time in the middle. You don't have to be a flamboyant number three. I mean, number three, traditionally, if you look back at the great number threes, you think about Ponting being the most flamboyant one. Otherwise, you had guys like Dravid out there for the longest time. Callis did it for South Africa. Even if you cast your mind back, Sankara as well, as many runs he accumulated, his first 15, 20, 30 balls was just about blunting the new ball. And invariably, he would walk in after the first over, second over, like that. So Gill's been in that position more often than not. And look at his numbers right now, because even in away tests since 2022, Gill's batted 16 times and he scored 357 runs. His average, though, is 23.80, which is just the 100 saving his bacon over there. And it, of course, doesn't sit well with the rest of the batters in that list. But point is, again, this series, because he's someone like Virat, enjoys the ball coming onto the bat, the bounce and all of that stuff. Can they be more cautious in terms of picking the balls they want to go for? Because both of them have a high bat lift. Both of them love the cover drive. And when they flash hard, right? So do you think they can probably, in terms of just allowing, you know how like bowlers kind of bowl towards the batter's body much more just to curtail runs? Can't these batters, I know it's easier said than done being an armchair critic right now, can't they wait for the balls to come more towards them than fish and probe as much as possible? Or do you think, again, as much as you tell a batter, it's about what you do there? It's instinct, it's impulse, it's intent.
I'll just want to try and answer this and at least take a jab at it. First of all, Amisha, you did answer it towards the end. A lot of this comes down to instinct. You can tell and all of it, but Virat and Gill, both of them are very similar in that they like to get a feel of the ball. It's not about them, fishing outside the off stump unnecessarily. That's how they have always been. They've always played their cricket or based their game on getting a feel of the bat and getting into the rhythm. That's what gets them into that rhythm and take it from there. Given that it's not easy, you're basically, again, the condition to think a certain way, the condition to play a certain way. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि Gautam Gambhir goes and tells them कि don't play balls outside the off stump and they will start leaving. And first of all, leaving balls outside the off stump is also an art. It's not as easy as okay, this is in the fourth stump, so I'll have to leave it. Having the awareness of understanding where your stumps are at, where your off stick is at, barring, I would have to say Murli Vijay. I don't remember too many names in the last 5, 6, 7 years who've been very good at leaving balls outside the off stump or just leaving balls, to be clear. And Gill himself, I remember at least a couple of dismissals where he's been caught off guard or he's left the wrong deliveries. He's either been out bowled or out LBW. So it's not easy. And in terms of how he can correct it, right now, the only answer, as cliched as it sounds, is just play more domestic cricket. Like, I don't know if there is any answer to it. And I still will go back to my argument. The problem right now, I guess, for selectors and the management is, if not Gill, then who? Who do they go to? Okay, sure. Gill isn't in the greatest of form. We'll send him to domestic. We'll send him to Ranji Trophy. Let him, polish himself and become a better batter. But who else do they go to right now?
The problem is, in this whole top six we look at, as great and superstars as they are, you don't have ready-made replacements. And I know people will be like, yeah, you can throw this guy in there and then make these changes and build for the future. But again, it's easier said than done. Nix, I just want to ask you again, taking off what Akshay mentioned, it's about lead percentage. It's about all these things in terms of even how you grow as a domestic batter. Someone like Murli Vijay, someone like Pujara, someone like Dravid, who used to bide his time out the middle, great levers of the ball. So is it almost like the Indian batters right now don't understand where their off stump is? Or is it just because they're so in that shot making mold that they feel like every 10, 15 balls, they're not getting runs? It's almost like muscle memory that karna hai to karna hai.
Which is why I said in my monologue earlier that they have to take time off white ball cricket to prepare for specific requirements in your red ball cricket. Because, as you said, if you are someone who is happy to leave the ball, again, I don't want to sell KL Rahul down the river here, but you can see how assured KL is looking at this crease because he's happy to leave. What is the problem in leaving a cricket ball? So some of it has to come down from the fact that if you are somebody, as Akshay said, if you are someone who wants to feel bat to ball, there still has to be time for it. You cannot say कि मैं हर ball पे bat and ball. It is not practically possible. So what you have to also realize is if the pedigree of the opposition is such that they are not going to bowl bat balls to you, then are you going to tell me कि I'll keep going after the good balls and I'll get them in the gap? But how is that possible? Yeah. Because when you're doing that, you're playing with a lot of risk. Now, a good example of this is in this entire test series. You look at how resistant India have been to bowl full. They be like, we'll bowl good length, we'll do what we know. And that is something that has been a problem of this team since a while now. Whether it is batting, whether it is bowling, whether it is plans, whether it is selection. They're all far too comfortable in that zone that this is our plan A. We will stick to this. This is what has worked for us. And that is the thing that is now not working. And the opponent is now asking you questions and you do not have answer. So there are solutions. I mean, every time you can't say, okay, see that the problem with Gill is he was an opener. Now you put him at 3 on his own record. If you're going to tell people you can pick your spot, and if you're not going to score runs, we'll still back you. It is good. You are backing potential. But someday that potential has to transfer. And even if it doesn't transfer, it has to show signs that I'm doing what is right. With Gill, I think he's probably halfway there and halfway not there. Because you saw in Adelaide how he batted. He did not look trouble. He did not look too far out of touch. But you make one mistake and you're gone. And that is how hard Test cricket is. So you have to play the percentages really well. So I don't know if it's about going to the next option. My point is you have to work with Gill that if you are someone, because you can see the plans. To Virat, they bowl outside off. To Gill, they bowl everything on the stumps. If it is so obvious, you will have to find a way out. Because to them, it's okay. Pat Cummins said this today to every Australian bowler, I do not mind being driven down the ground. So he's telling them to forget the instincts. He's telling them to be not worry too much about the runs, but we are too worried about what we are planning and then we want to stick to it. So it is not going to be easy, and which is why I want them to take some time off and prepare better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the alarming bit. The fact that it is struggles, it is repetitive, like the title of this MNL episode 58 also suggests. And I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day when I was coming back to India as well. I was just like, it's also the fact that Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood know all these guys inside out. Like some of them I play cricket with them in the same dressing rooms. Hazelwood has got Virat out 11 times now in international cricket. So it just makes me think that as much as we kind of moan about India's batting, we have also, I mean, sometimes just think about Australia and how dominant they are in their own backyard with the red ball. And Stark is no bunny with that, because I think what he did with Gill's dismissal also, amazing in swinger in that Adelaide test. And this one was just an outswinger. It gave Gill the impression that he's going to come back in. And that's where he went for that cover drive. Tanbir saying absolute Bangladesh fan like things. I know he is a Bangladeshi. So he's saying if rain wasn't there today, India would have got all out. I don't disagree with you at all, because India have been shambolic with the bat. Atyavad saying we need more red ball specialists who will spend more time in the UK like Pujara did when he was playing for India. That's what we've been crying out for the longest time out there on this board as well. Why has India stopped producing players like Rahane and Pujara? You could throw even Vihari in there. It comes down to that. This is the fact that every Indian batter coming out right now are more the eccentric kind. They're more run-making, shot-making in terms of being old school, taking body blows, leaving balls outside the off stump, so on and so forth. But again, time to think about
also,
other things.
one more thing, I feel we should not just assume that, India or the talent pool right now in India does not have too many red ball specialists. It's just that we've not given enough chances to those who actually are actual red ball specialists. So this is yet another case of survivorship bias, where now we are making these statements only based on who actually played Test cricket for India. But there's so many players who've done well in the Ranji Trophy but haven't gotten chances for Team India, जिनके बारे में हमें पता नहीं है. So again, I wouldn't still go as far as to say that we don't have enough red ball specialists. We just haven't gone there. We haven't tested that front. अभी भी अपने बैकअप्स में कौन है? ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ आके इंडिया खेलेगा, फिर वो आके इंडिया के लिए खेलेगा, फिर हम लोग वापस वही बोलेंगे यार we don't have too many red ball specialists. Well, probably we are barking down the wrong dog. We aren't looking in the right direction. We probably once again goes back to the same argument that we've had earlier. Maybe it is high time we start giving Ranji Trophy the weightage or the attention it deserves, and actually start picking players from there and give them opportunities. So I don't know, maybe number 3 के लिए है कोई बंदा वहां पे जिसको हमने मौका दिया नहीं अब तक. So let's just wait and see. Indrajit, in fact, Vasant mentions that's a fantastic name, and that's a very good name that you mentioned. I'm not saying Indrajit will come and he'll do wonders for India, but the way he's played for Tamil Nadu, I mean, I know Ashwin himself raves a lot about him. He feels Indrajit is this generation's Amol Mazumdar. He's gone as far as to say that. So, hai naam yaar, काफी सारे नाम है. Sai Sudarshan is probably another name who Team India might be looking at a lot more closely given his IPL exploits and whatnot. But I still do think there are talents available. It's just that we haven't, or when I say we, I mean the selectors or Team India haven't necessarily looked, in that direction yet.
Okay, fair. Ankur saying, well, everyone is talking about leaving outside off stump balls. No one is appreciating Aussie bowlers, and we are. Even Pant and KL scored runs for playing drives. These are scoring shots. Give credit to Aussie game. But it is, and that's where at times KL was picking his balls, playing on merit, and absolutely brilliant. I love that 33 so far, and hopefully it's more to come from his bat. You mentioned a man there, Ankur, Pant. Now, Pant has just been absolutely eaten alive by Pat Cummins. We'll show you some of the numbers. He got him out today as well. And it's that particular mode of dismissal over the wicket. You take a look, it is chalk and cheese for Rishabh Pant. And we're titling this one, A Chink in Rishabh Pant's Armour. There's an article also on this very topic on our website and our app. Check it out right now. This basically suggests Pant versus right-arm pacers in saner countries. Now, this is 2022, before that whole horrific accident of his. 10 dismissals over the wicket and none around the wicket. So the Australians, again, figuring that out pretty quickly. And even if you look at the pitch map, boys, it's very indicative of what they've chosen to bowl to Pant. Just back of the length, that particular area. A couple of full balls or thereabouts, but it's led to his downfall. And it's almost like you can see that. We've tried to grab the visuals from the game. We can't obviously show you the highlights, but essentially it shows that particular pattern with right armers and targeting Rishabh Pant. And he's such an important cog in this Team India wheel that Pat Cummins has now got him quite a few amount of times. As this tweet we put out earlier in the day, I think, went on to say it's literally before the series, no dismissals. This series, 3 dismissals. So again, Pant, boys, I mean, so much going into the series with him, expectations, all of that, but it hasn't come to the fore. Again, do you think it's Australia's captain just being tactically smarter than India's Rishabh Pant? Nick, I'll start with you here.
Firstly, I blame Somesh. Very, very Siddharth. No way. Before the series, in the preview, Somesh is like, do you know, Pat comes to Rishabh Pant, 0 dismissals. ये लो भाई प्लीज खुद कर लो कुछ उल्टा बोल दो भाई अपनी शक्तियों का सही इस्तेमाल करो पर I mean it is what it is and the point that Ashutosh said there, if you want to give credit to Aussie game plan, what is the point of you then playing cricket and not able to find answers to it? The other team has obviously come to win. They are not going to stay. They have not won against you since a decade. If you expected that you will come to Australia, a place where you haven't won in 10 years, and you will think they'll give you free. Nahi hota bhai. And this, I mean, the comment just makes sense that it is worse to make such ads that you are saying, see, he can do it. But that is not what you want Jaiswal, Gill and others to do, right? So, if we are selling this to people that we will play this way, then if you will get out, then you have to accept that you will get out that way.
Yeah.
With Rishabh Pant, the problem hasn't been that he's played shots and he's got out. The problem is, for the first time, there is a very obvious flaw that has been found in the test format. In the limited overs format, there was stuff that you bowl wide lines to him and, you can contain him. For the first time, he has an obvious ploy against him that is troubling him so much. So let's give him this series at least. Okay, this is what is happening with you. These are the lines, balls are going away from you. What is your answer? So, again, for me, Pant's expectations hai, but if he's done so much well, I'll give him some credit in the bank that yes, this is a problem. Nobody's saying it's not a problem, but I still think he has enough to figure a way out, and he will have to do it because otherwise, this is something that's going to be telegraphed everywhere. Robinson did this, and now Pat Cummins has taken it up. So Pant will also have to find a way, but for now, him and Jaiswal to me have still some way to go. Jaiswal because first tour and Pant because पहली बार सीखा है भाई तुम on the fly नहीं ठीक कर पाओगे. So hopefully Pant can find some return and it is not going to immediate. See, Steve Smith can come and say okay, I made a change for this very game and it worked. Everybody is not Steve Smith, so we'll have to give them time.
Yeah, good to great saying. It's not that only Australia keep Pant quiet, but the early follow wickets force Pant to play his nature, resulting in his downfall. That also
Sorry,
is
sorry.
important.
So just on this bit, on Rishabh Pant. So both are number fives, Travis and Rishabh Pant. So this is something I wanted to note right from the start of the series. Now these are entry points for Rishabh Pant in this series. Perth 16.2, 93.5. 93.5 he did not work. He were far ahead. Not about. Adelaide 20.1, 14.3. This is when the third wicket has fallen. Brisbane 7.2. None over 21 overs. Travis had his entry point. Perth 6.5, 4.2. Adelaide 40.1. Brisbane 33.2. So you can have your best bowler average in single digits against their openers, but they are spending time. They are making sure that your lower order is coming at a better time for them to come good. Rishabh Pant is not supposed to play your new ball every single game. You can expect him to play, yes, but that is not what he's built for. So what you have to realize is for everything that is happening, there is a chain of events that is leading to that event happening. So just wanted to highlight that.
No, that's a very important point, and I'm glad that you brought it up because even entry points is something that I wanted to talk about in terms of our next talking point with Travis Head doing Travis Head things against India. And even we could probably think of a plan to give it to Rohit Sharma and be like, listen, bro, do this the next time Travis Head comes out to bat because it is unbelievable. But look, points well taken on Pant. Even in the comments, people are making their points heard. Pant is supposed to play the Travis Head kind of role for India. He needs a platform to perform. That's exactly what Nick's just said. Guys, if another 50 to 70 overs Australia get, I'm pretty sure India will be bowled out twice. I really hope rain saves us. We'll discuss that in the larger scheme of things. Jayant Che, welcome to the show. He's saying, or asking rather, Akshay, why aren't the Indian team analysts coming up with any plan to curtail Australian batters like how they do against us? They always seem to work out ways to get us out and have a plan B if it doesn't work. So my similar question to you, if they've managed to get into the minds of Virat Kohli with his cover drive, making it seem like a repetitive mistake. Pant right now with over the wicket and right arm fast bowlers, or Gill for that matter, or even now kind of finding Jaiswal's chink in the hour, right? So if they can spot these, why can't we spot it, especially with someone like Travis Head? Because I'm guessing we're talking about him next. And he's walked in at 75 for 3, bro. He had no right to take the game and eventually make Australia get 445. I also feel like Cummins, Carey, Stark, and whoever got 110 runs put together was just unbelievable. It was just like giving me Saudi vibes with whoever he was batting with in Bangalore, and Rohit just like was like not even there. He was there, but he was not there. So why can't Rohit figure this out, and why can't we have a plan in place? Because we play so much cricket against these guys, so it should be vice versa, right?
So yeah, again, the way I would look at these things is on two fronts. One is of course your plan is that happens with the think tank. The captain is also involved with those discussions. I'll go back to the 2020 series. So abhi jo Australia India ke saath kar raha hai, that was pretty much what India did with Australia. Careful planning. They had a proper setup in place, a very clear strategy against each of their batters individually. ऐसा नहीं था कि generic plan say they had a plan specifically for Steve Smith, for David Warner, for Labuschagne. And you could see that was very clearly evident because where it helped them was that the bowlers were also executing their plans to the T. So they did not really have to fall back to plan B, to plan C. So once again, I don't think India, it's not a case of India not having plans. I think it's more a case of their bowlers, their batters not necessarily executing them well enough. Barring Bumrah, the Indian bowling attack has really been listless. Akashdeep started off very well in his first spell, and that was very heartening to see. Unfortunately, there weren't too many rewards to look back at. But the way he bowled into commentary, I'm sorry, slight digression, but it was hilarious to listen to some of the commentary that was happening in the very same over, or in a span of 6 balls rather, not the same over. 3 balls of one over and then 3 balls of the next over. So Sunil Gavaskar, sorry to take names, but 3 balls. There was probably Bumrah who was bowling. Bumrah kept doing his thing. He was attacking the stumps and all of that. And Sunil Gavaskar was basically saying, I don't understand why Akashdeep is, bowling outside the off stump. His first spell, if you look at his economy, I know the economy looks good. It's only 2.2, 2.3. So ये सब देखने में अच्छा लगता है. But he's not attacking the stumps, which is why batters are more than happy to leave the ball outside the off stump and not score off of it. Now look at Bumrah. He's attacking the stumps, which means he's willing to take that risk. If batters score runs, score boundaries, so be it. But he can also get wickets. This is how you must look at it, because only then can you also get wickets. This is Sunil Gavaskar in the Bumrah over. Cut to very next over. Akashdeep is now bowling. He's bowling very well outside the off stump. I'm forgetting who was it with Sunil Gavaskar. He's like, yeah, Akashdeep is bowling very well. He's challenging batters and all of that. And Gavaskar now completely changes his narrative. Yeah, this is very good bowling. You remember how he bowled in the very first spell, bowling outside the off stump, challenging the outside edge. He's beaten the batters consistently. It's very good to see. I'm like, bhai, pick a lane. What is this? In one over, तुमने मतलब सिक्का ही बदल गया भाई. क्या चल रहा है वहाँ पे? It was bizarre, first of all.
Sunny
But
G and
coming-
Bani G.
Sorry, if you think about it, in hindsight, that is India's plans. 3 balls, one plan, 3 balls later, other plan.
Like whimsical, absolutely whimsical. But yeah, it's a good thing to point out there. Let me just quickly take some comments right now. I seriously feel that Jurel did nothing wrong to be swapped for Gill in this test, saying good to great. Jurel was at high confidence post that game against Australia A. But again, it's names over form for Team India for the longest time. Introspect saying Rohit's captaincy is pathetic to say the least, not even club level. He hardly maintains pressure. Smith just came to form because of poor planning, gave away too many singles on the leg side. And one second, I know you want to butt in. Dr. Kuti also saying support staff and analysts are not able to convey messages to star players. The complete overhaul to support staff was not a good thing, in my opinion. BCCI will look harshly at this for sure. And one more comment came through about Rohit's captaincy. Yeah, we took that from Vignesh Nandakumar. And Udal Hack saying, have you spoken about KL? What do we have to talk about him? Because it's obviously addressing the same things and highlighting the obvious that he looks probably the best batter in terms of, even though he's not got like a big score, wherever he's batted, whenever he's batted in this tour, barring from that one ball he left in that warm-up game, he's looked really, really good, which went on through his legs or whatever. But like, I feel KL, we don't want to talk about him because he's doing good things, and I really hope he comes good in the morning. How frustrating is it, by the way, Nix, if you're a batter, just every fucking 5-10 minutes the rain's coming on, so you're getting in your mindset and then again you're just pulling it out. So KL had to deal with that as well. Just a word from both you boys on KL and how he's been the best of the bad bunch. Let it put it that way.
Yeah, I think I'll go first and then Akshay can continue on the point that he was wanting to make. Just to you, this is why India was right in bowling first. If you had this kind of day, very first day, stop, start, dude, all of us would have been clinching whatever hairs left. Ke bhai, kya kar rahe ho? Why would you want to select batting first? They are playing 12 balls, 6 balls going off, coming off. It is not easy. When you already have a batting lineup that is struggling for confidence and you have people up there who are playing shots, it could have easily been another 2 digit score. It could still be, for all we know, but you have to give them that chance. So that is just on the bit about India having to bat first. Should not have batted first, rightly. KL Rahul, so far, I'll maintain, has been India's best batter. I know people will come with NKR, but NKR is not opening the batting. And NKR is actually one of those problems that you have accidentally resolved, but it's not resolving. It is complicated your problems more. We'll get to that maybe after we are done discussing this.
And for you, Akshay, KL, I mean, just purely because he, I think, out of all the top 6, has probably been the most test match-esque batter. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, easily. I mean, that's not even a question, to be honest. And especially given the whole setting, he entered the series with his position in the 11 being questioned, with a lot of things being spoken about him, the IPL auction behind him, and all of that. So, given what all he's had to also keep at the back of his head, of course, all of these, players will have this somewhere, playing in their minds and all of that. To be able to come good despite all of that, kudos to him, and it's been a very solid performance. He's been the only one who's looked assured. Just looked assured. Baki chodo ki runs banaye ki nahi. Balls jitne khele inhone. Just the fact that he's been able to, keep at it, and like we mentioned before, like Nikhil bhai, like you've also mentioned earlier, just the simple act of staying there. just being in the present, playing each ball on its merit. ये सारे cliches अभी आ रहे हैं बताओ, सारे cliches ही आ रहे हैं. It's as simple as that, and this is why I've always been of the opinion कि जो भी हो, axing KL Rahul, especially in this format, is not going to be that easy. But thankfully, he's come good at the right time. Now it's all about just kicking on and making a very big score. Like we've seen him, play 100 deliveries in both the innings of the first test. Unfortunately, ज़्यादा बनाया नहीं. If he is able to score a 150, 160, maybe even something beyond that, that'll be lovely. And मैं सीधा 150, 160 पे पहुंच जाऊं. I know it sounds ridiculous and very whimsical, but yeah, I mean, a man can always hope.
100%. Ashutosh Bajpai, the LSG fan, clearly having some tongue-in-cheek, saying KL is finally showing his excellent T20 form in this match. If you know, you know. Ankar Biswas saying, thing about KL is, does ugly job, hangs around when people question him, but as the situation comes for him to cash in and people expect him, he fails. Hope he ends with 450 runs this series. Class act indeed. And there was one more from on KL from Santosh saying, problem with people is whenever KL played Lone Warrior, they don't remember those innings, but when he alone fails to score with others around getting runs, they all target KL. I think that's also important to note. And more comments to come through, which we'll take. If in case I missed any of the questions, we'll take them in the 12th man segment today. Right, so that was India pretty much and how it is panning out for them in Brisbane. There's lots more stats that you guys can go check out available on cricket.com, such as this. We've not spoken about it because essentially this is a longer format podcast, so we don't want it to be more match specific. But if you guys want all those features, it's there, like I said, in the number format, in different format. We don't want to talk about Travis Head too much because he's just been killing it. But if we want to talk about Smith, for example, and certain records he's broken after that 100, you can take a look at it. Or Bumrah and what he did after he got another fifer in his belt. Right, time to go on to the best of the rest, where we talk about even, in fact, RCB's documentary and whether it was too much information to the public. Let's bring that up and much more in the best of the rest. All right, quickly before we move on, you guys are watching us from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, but in YouTube in particular, 80 odd blokes of y'all, which would probably be 1,000 or 2,000 by the end of a couple of days. So quickly like this video because I want at least 50 to 60 likes if you guys want me to unravel any of the Thailand secrets that I had this trip. Right, let's of course quickly tell you what we want to talk about. There's New Zealand, England also to chat about, but our producer, also shout out to producer Shaunak, happy belated birthday to him as well. Just thought of that right now. He's put out a poll and he's also come up with the particular responses, Akshay Nix. So we asked everyone during the MNL, at least the first 55 minutes of the show, this question: who should be blamed for India's repeated failures of the bat? The 3 options or 4 options were there. Is it GG and his coaching staff? 21% of y'all think that. Is it no batting coach being appointed by the BCCI in this current coaching staff? 10% of y'all believe that. 61% of y'all believe it's the batters themselves, and 8% of y'all are putting out other reasons. So which boat do you guys fall in? Let us know. Let's quickly talk about New Zealand, England, because a lot's been going on there. Kane Williamson getting a done in timely manner. So Smith and of course Williamson, maybe it's Kohli in the second innings. You never know. I hope so at least. But England 657 runs behind. Nix, have you watched any of that game?
Highlights only, unfortunately. I mean, they picked up a couple of things live in terms of because they were happening simultaneously. So good to see Kane back among the runs. Loves the venue. I mean, that is, quite obvious to say that. But Santner, very, very happy for him. And William, dude. I mean, I don't know. India is doing badly in a test match, and then the simultaneously, you see William doing well. You see Santner not just scoring runs, taking wickets. Happy for New Zealand. It just tells you how much success at times. It may be ill-timed in this series, particularly because you'll say, oh, it's gone and done and dusted, but it is still an important game for them. So on the back of a very good tour of India, you see crowds in New Zealand. And I think it is a very important thing to mention that you want to get this game to more people. In terms of the performance, I mean, you hardly expected anything else from Matt Henry. Very keen to see how Zach Crawley goes because single digit mein average ho gaya hai, has had absolutely horrible time. Akshay is smiling because potential spoiler for a Howzzaat later. But I'll keep it at that. But yeah, very happy to see New Zealand do well and good amount of runs selected for England. They need 650. They need 650.
They need 650 because Greg's also saying 650 target is mental. Baseball these, you bastards. Let's see if you guys can get this. Indeed. Root is scoring his 37 tomorrow, saying Ankar Biswas. And Fab 4 slowly becoming Fab 3, reckons Dr. KP. And can watch England tomorrow. Bethel is still there. Exactly, Giant. I was just getting there. He's on 9 not out. I mean, it's crazy how many followers he's got before even playing a game for RCB, which is mad. But Jacob Bethel, yeah, I mean, the only thing which caught my eyes, of course, he got the 90 odd earlier in the series, but he took a stunning catch as well. So we know that he's just a certified, bona fide good fielder out there as well. What else caught your eye apart from your future? How's that question, Akshay, in this third test of the series?
Nothing much, to be honest. Yeah, like I said last week as well, मैं सिर्फ Bethel को देखने के लिए देख रहा था, but I got to know about this. Saudi was at 98 sixes when he arrived at the crease. Unfortunately, was not able to breach the 106 mark. But yeah, retires with 98 sixes, so definitely a legend in his own right. बाकी तो ज्यादा देख नहीं पाया. I did get to see a few visuals. Nice to see, like Nikhil Bhai also mentioned, that was actually one of the first things that struck me. कि crowd है भाई, मतलब न्यूजीलैंड इंग्लैंड टेस्ट मैच में crowd है. That was very heartening to see, because we've been hearing of late from New Zealand cricketers as well, that the domestic circuit there is not churning out enough talents. There's not enough popularity of the sport, back home. Good to see that happen. So fingers crossed we'll get to see more people watching and more people taking up the sport in New Zealand as well.
Okay, before we move on to the other games we want to discuss, just a prediction, and we can hold back each other in the next Monday Night Live. So the target is what? 658, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, 658. So tell me how much England will score. Both of you. We'll all make our predictions right now. They have Brooks still in the shed. They have Root batting out there. They have Pope to come, Stokes to come. So they have the batting. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that they'll bloody do the unthinkable because they still have 2 days to bat. But can they either avoid a 500-run loss, or do you think it'll be somewhere in the mids, like a 370-run defeat types?
I'll go first. I'm thinking 255, fingers crossed, on the back of a fantastic 150 from Jacob Bethel.
Okay, cool. What about you? Next.
इसके केएल राहुल से भी इसको 150 चाहिए, जेकब बेथल से भी ऐसा सब जहमत है.
मारो तो सीधा मारो भाई, टेस्ट क्रिकेट है उसी के लिए.
If I am in the lines of what Ankar Biswas said, I think they will get 300, 350 because it does get better to bat, and they lost 2, but I think Root is game. I mean, game in terms of getting to 350 plus, because if Root goes out early, then others might have to really find more ways. Pope has their group, loves New Zealand. So probably between 350 and 400.
Yeah, because if Root actually bides his time at the other end of the spectrum, you can have your players like Bethel and Brook who could just come in and get like a quick fire 150 or whatever. Then suddenly they're about 200 runs away.
Sorry, I had just
or 150 ek saath.
In my life, quick fire 150. This is notable. 9-5, 16 December. Cool.
The funny thing is, I was actually thinking about this. There was a similar New Zealand England only 2002. One of the best double hundreds you would have probably ever seen. Nathan Astle score. Okay, and again, England at that point in time set New Zealand a bizarre 558 or something like that, and they were actually going for it. And this mad move for Nathan Astle, wow, he lit up my childhood with that knock and how, bro. And it was nuts. It was honestly nuts. It was one of those day-night tests, but like more fading daylight, but it just brings back good memories. Many people saying many things about this New Zealand-England sort of series. Only 3 more people than 106 in Saudi. Gilly, Baz, Stokes, Saudi retires. Legend, absolute legend, Tim Saudi is. Don't care as long as we see another Joe Root century saying notorious. Okay. I came across a stat of Tim Saudi, who's the only player in Test cricket who scored more sixes, 98, than his highest score, 77. Good stuff from Mr. Udupa there in the comments. Right, let's move on and talk about South Africa, Pakistan. I have no idea what's happened. What is the series scoreline? Is the T20s happening? Let me just go to the cricket.
T20 series से पहला मैच बहुत पॉपुलर था because Miller single-handedly won the game for South Africa. 70 odd for 7. From there he took them to 145 and South Africa managed to defend it. ये पता because Shubh and I had a chat about this. उसके बाद तो भाई सेकेंड T20 मेरे को इतना पता है रिजवान स्कोर्ड 49 or 46 or 46 or 49 something like that.
Wild. No, yeah. So basically, it was a tied T20 series. Sorry, South Africa winning both.
No,
Beg
no.
your pardon.
Yeah, 2-0.
Final one being washed out, and then now I think everything's leading up to the ODIs and then the tests. Next, your quick one highlight from the T20 series, was it that Miller turn or something else you spotted that not many would have?
No, I'm sure everybody saw Riza Hendricks score a century. Probably one of the best knocks. Weird sometimes, how some of these players can just come up with knocks like these, but I absolutely loved watching Riza Hendricks bat there. 117 of 63, timed the ball so well. If you haven't caught up the highlights, please check the one chip that he did over long on. Just standing and just chipping the ball over long. Sweetly timed. So, again, it was a good score. 206 is still a good score. I'm not saying par score, but Sam Ayub also played really, really well. I think it was a good day in terms of good batsmanship. I think Sam Ayub, he's got a lot of chances. So it's important for him to repay that faith with a couple of good scores. So he did really well. And yeah, those were the two highlights. And Rizwan and others, they will always be in the conversation. But yeah, I personally enjoyed Riza's batting.
72 of 60, Rizwan, sorry. He eventually went on to make 72 of 60. And one more thing, special mention, since Ankar also mentioned it now, it hit me. George Linde, a player that I've also been looking forward to. भाई क्या गजब बैटिंग किए MI Cape Town के लिए जब पहला सीजन देखा था I was like bro why is this guy not in South Africa's setup. Good to see him come good, and Mafaka also another special mention. Rizwan was being hurried for pace left, right, and center. He kept 151.2 was his fastest, if I'm not wrong. So that was also very good to watch. Sirf highlights he dekha, but George Linde, very happy to see him come good for South Africa. Very handy bowler, a more than capable batter. Yeah, let's hope he actually turns out to be someone very crucial for them going forward.
Left arm spinner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've seen his name pop up on the T20 circuit, but if he's doing good, great. Noodleax Vasan saying South Africa-Pakistan series is Mr. Irrelevant. Ankar Biswas also pointing out that Sam Ayub had a 98, not out as opener. I think Pakistan lost that game, but essentially something for them to pick out. But even if you look at the scorecards and the names on the team sheet, you have a very inexperienced young South Africa team, Bretsky and Rickleton, those kind of guys, and then your Kwena Mafaka, who is still clocking 140, 150, according to some stuff that I saw on the reels. But essentially, that's what's happening over there. Mr. Singhal, I will take this question in the 12th man. We've moved on from the India Studio Chat momentarily. We'll come back to them. Giant confirming that Mafaka is bowling thunderbolts. And Alka saying, I really enjoyed Momentum Rizwan. Indeed. Archid Arman saying, today by seeing Nixer's tweets, I felt there was a sense of frustration, which is also common sentiment of many fans. One future number 3 option could be a good shake, Rashid. We'll come to that. Thanks for pointing that out, Archid. And Kwena clocking 150 is also looking nice. So, yeah, so that was South Africa, Pakistan. Let's quickly talk about the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy winners, Mumbai, because Sky was in it, and there was a lot of good other telling performances. And Shreyas Iyer winning another trophy in terms of this 2024. I know he was just ousted in terms of earlier this year, not making the England squad for the tests at home, and then how he's turned that around, IPL winning captain as well. So what has did you go for the SPAT final, Akshay?
Not the final. The final was happening during the WPL auction, but we went for the game. We went for the quarter final. It was we went for one of the semi-finals. Or no, we went for one of the.
I saw Hardik celebrating.
नहीं quarter final नहीं हार्दिक वाले गेम के लिए नहीं गया. I went for UP Delhi. These guys later went for Baroda Mumbai. I wasn't a part of that.
Baroda Mumbai was where the fan came on and how
exactly Hardik ke paas and all of that. But I saw MP Delhi. I went there only to see Bhuvi and Suyash Sharma.
Of course.
It's a Tuesday. It was a Wednesday evening. 2,000 people there chanting RCB, RCB. I didn't know if I should feel happy about this or sad. It was bizarre, absolutely bizarre. We got to see a fight, a proper fight ensue between Nitish Rana and Ayush Badoni. It was so good to watch. So good to watch. So Ayush Nitish was bowling to Ayush in the first innings, and Nitish pulled off with Deepthi. He just stopped midway during his bowling action. Very next ball, then Ayush, like any other batter, then decided to back out. at the very last minute. Very last minute. Then finally the ball happens, Ayush bowls, and Nitish bowls and Ayush takes a single. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted by the off-air conversation that Avnish seems to be having. But coming back, they take a single. Ayush is right next to Nitish, and they have a go at each other. तो अबे दिल्ली जाओ ऐसा कुछ तो बोला होगा. I would imagine दो दिल्ली के लौंडे अगर भिड़ जाए तो भिड़ ही जाएंगे. And the crowd nicely adding fuel to the fire. We just kept egging both of them out there. And in return, in the second innings, when Ayush Badoni came to ball, Nitish actually got out to him. He got out to him, and Ayush gives him a send off, a proper send off. तो काफी मजा आया वो देखते हुए. But Rajat यार, I saw yesterday's knock live. Sorry, day before's knock live. No, it was yesterday. Holy smokes. Holy smokes, was he good. 81 odd out of 40 balls. There was this one six that he played.
That was insane. How has he got it there?
No, I don't think that's incredible, the shot that you're saying. But yesterday he played another it's a ball aimed at his chest. Okay? Fast 130, mid 130s, 135 clicks, aimed at his chest. It's come. He somehow managed to take his front foot off and hoik it past the deep square leg fence for his huge six. We were just I was completely blown by it. And then there was this one. You remember Virat Kohli six of Corey Anderson 2017? Just an extended cover drive that went for a six. Rajat played a similar shot yesterday. Except Rajat was probably a bit more exaggerated. He went the whole hog, but offside, it was an extended cover drive for his six. So Rajat is, his batting right now, it really seems to be at a whole new level. Importantly, 81 of 40 balls. He faced no more than 2 balls of spin. Mumbai, credit to them, Shreyas did not give him any spin. So this was all pace. So to all those jackasses who kept saying, "Arey Rajat ko pace khelna nahi aata hai sab," le bhai. Mut diya tere statement pe bas. And a special mention to Suryan Shedge. Last time he bola tha, Suryan Shedge 30 of 8 तब बोला था आंध्रा के साथ. उसके बाद he followed it up with a 30 of 12 in the quarterfinal, then a 36 of a 36 of 12 in the semi-final, and then a 36 of 15 yesterday, an unbeaten one at that too. He came in when 45 was needed in 5 overs, ended the game with more than 2 overs to spare. Yeah. So crazy knock. I'll also have to say Madhya Pradesh will feel a bit hard done by Venkatesh Iyer. Meko nahi laga out tha, was not out. In fact, Rahane also, the way he was reacting, it seemed like not out hi tha. Third umpire maze out hi de diya wahan pe. So, but theek hai.
Yeah, I mean, the SMAT final is almost like the Somesh Agarwal derby, Madhya Pradesh versus Mumbai. I mean, both soul teams over there competing against each other. Ajinkya Rahane was also a topical point. He's getting some runs in SMAT, and everyone's thinking now he's the automatic KKR captain. But Nix, again, what caught your eye in at least the business end of the tournament in SMAT? A lot of IPL scouts. We saw Mo Bobat there. Now, like we said last week as well in this podcast, that SMAT has become like the championship compared to the Premier League, which is the IPL and SMAT. So lots of positives which can now be translated personally for some players going ahead.
Yeah, 100%. And I still can't speak more about like Ajinkya Rahane. He's played some really, really good knocks and under pressure at a very good strike rate. So very, very pleasing to see without any yellow bias there, because he's gone on record and said that, I want to get it CSK for unlocking that potential that everybody's always told me that you play 15, 16 overs, we'll play around you. But Chennai to him, like, you don't worry about anything else, you go there and play your game. And I think that has been so refreshing that, see, he's not someone who's looking to power the ball. So when you have a guy who's just using timing, see, it is also one of the reasons why with Rajat, you can see some power. But Rajat is also a great timer of the cricket ball, which is why those shots look so pleasing to you. So for Rahane to do that consistently in this format, I think I was very, very pleased for him. I think all of us did not quite see this coming when we did KKR review in terms of their squads, but he's made more than enough mark to start and well ahead of his competitors. So very, very happy for him. And again, Shegde bhai, matlab, if Punjab don't use this guy now, I really don't know when they will use him. But as you said, a lot of good names. Now the challenge for all these guys is the step up, because they've done this now at this level. Hopefully in the IPL they will be given a clear role And next season, we'll be talking a lot more about Shreyans and everybody else who's gotten a gig, and Urbil Patel again. Hopefully, somebody will eventually get it. But yeah, let's see how they step up now.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. In the SMAT final was reflective of a good final as well. 174 playing 118. That scorecard we just showed you. We'll talk about the WPL auction picks and quickly our best bits from the BBL. But I just want to talk about the highlight of the best of the rest this evening and the RCB mini documentary, which was released in 4 parts. Really quickly, guys. I mean, from an RCB fan perspective, yes, I'm thinking to myself, wow, love this kind of content. Great. Gives us an insight of how they're planning with Mo Bobat there. And him being so hands-on. I haven't seen this ever in RCB's history in terms of their director being so close to just player scouting, player ID, because he had all these kind of things in his CV when he got the RCB job. He was doing exactly this for the ECB, and now he's doing it for the RCB. So, Akshay, what did you make of the docuseries? Because it gave us too much information, you feel, especially Phil Salt, how everyone wanted Faf back, including Malolan and some of the coaches there, how they all kind of wanted KLR at one point in time. So again, when you saw it first, were you thinking, great, yeah, great content, where again, kings of bloody content, social media team and all of that. But other oppositions and the teams must be thinking, thanks for this information, RCB, or not really?
First thoughts, great piece of content. Love watching anything like this from any side. But देखने में मजा आता है कि what actually goes behind. Secondly, अरे क्या gave too much away भाई. Though again, to be clear, guys, these conversations have happened over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm not even counting months. It could even be a month or so. क्या तो मतलब, and that's been condensed into a 40-minute docu series. So us trying to make sense of this is very stupid in the first place, and this is me included. Even I've tried to make sense of what happened. No, there's no point, absolutely no point. We don't even know which conversation has happened when. We don't even know if the edit is chronological. First of all, बीच में conversation Phil Salt का आता है, पहले Livingston का. We don't know when did they discuss whom. So we just, why even like, there's no point spending time on that. Look at it, accept it as a piece of content, consume it. If you actually derive some insights from it, great for you. Baki, what do you think other teams will take out of this? That DK rates Phil Salt very highly. That DK rates Bobby very highly. Surprise, surprise! A player that RCB bought, RCB rates him very highly. अगर नहीं करते तो नहीं लेते भाई. I don't think other teams are going to sort of make any sense out of it. Just like how we can't necessarily make a lot of sense out of it. But a couple of things that I did observe, they were very keen on having Venkatesh Iyer. They were very keen on having Chahal. In fact, both of them were first 11 picks for them. I remember when they were discussing Krunal Pandya, they basically thought Krunal Pandya, Yuzi Chahal, Will Jacks, that's a more than decent spin troika to go into the to sort of head into the IPL. Given that 2 of those 3 did not materialize, they had to focus on their backups and they had to pivot and all of that. So happy with how more or less, they were able to get a lot of choices, but clearly, wo naam mein bhi, you could see they did miss out on a couple. Venkatesh Iyer, Yuzi Chahal, Will Jacks was also a short RTM option.
Yeah, you saw that chat between Malolan and DK about Jacks and
exactly.
this Livingston. And Malolan was like, yeah, but you don't need him. But then DK was like,
Jacks, clearly Malo rated Jacks very highly, fair shout. But you also need to understand that these plans are on paper. In the auction, once again, auction dynamics की बात आती है, you'll have to be flexible. The minute they realize that they now need a finisher, that's that is more important to their side, because that's the gaping hole, not their opening. They had to let go of Will Jacks because 5.25 pay Will Jacks or 3 pay David, it has to be 3 pay David at that point in time. अगर auction से पहले कोई मुझसे पूछता Will Jacks या Tim David, I would have said Will Jacks. But given that we have Phil Salt at the top and we don't have a finisher now, who do I need? It'll have to be Tim David. So we need to understand these things, but मजा आया देख के, ठीक है, बस.
Okay, I just want to get Nick's thoughts on this, but it is, of course, telling us that these kind of docu-series also shows how much teams are now taking the IPL super seriously before even the tournament started, building, and everyone plays a huge part. Like, even the fact that Freddie Wild was just there in terms of giving his inputs, his numbers, his data, so on and so forth. Dr. KP Singh had RCB got Miller and retained Jacks. If they missed Salt, the contract would have been made according to their choice. It was well edited for you. 100%, they would have shoehorned it the way they wanted to. I respectfully disagree with you, Avnish. Even to be very simple with the final lineup, you can easily understand the game plan. what is there as information, I feel, as emphasis on a few players. Not just the fact that, again, when they were giving out numbers of Phil Salt, the fact that he tackles left arm spin well, or he goes for back-to-back big overs or whatever. So I'm just saying.
सब पता होगा भाई, ये ऐसा नहीं हो ही नहीं सकता कि सिर्फ आरसीबी को पता है.
No, but just the angles you're thinking in, right? Like the fact that they're trying to picturize Virat open the batting with an aggressive top order bat, and they got that with Phil Salt. So I'm just hoping, like, yes, it's obvious, it's public information. If you guys dig it up, you'll find dirt or in terms of just a chink in every player out there. But again, it's good for maybe content, and RCB being RCB, they're pioneering this as well. Nick, your thoughts is just a CSK fan on it. Were you having a right laugh when you were watching all of this go down, or do you think, professionalism to hai?
I mean, that is expected. I mean, if you thought कि कोई भी team comes into the auction just मुंह उठा के अरे ये 10 नाम है नहीं मिले तो इनको लेके, तो then भाई आप अलग जगह पे रह रहे हो. So firstly, it's not a groundbreaking thing. It's something that happens, which you have to assume कि ये होता ही है. I mean, it is not something that is the first time. The one thing that I'm happy about is it's good to put it out, but just leave it at that. Do not go, as Akshay said, उसमें ज़्यादा दिमाग फोड़ोगे तो it will look like a series जो this is why we bought him. It's like an answer in brief for every player. This is why we bought Phil Salt. This is why we bought Bhuvi, because he hit 16 runs twice. This is why we went for Salt. So you can make what you want of it. Maybe, see, I don't think any information is too much information, because all of this people know. It's already available. It is just that the average cricket consumer doesn't always look into all of these data points when they think of constructing a team, and which is not, it's not an unfair call on him. Why don't you do it? It's not his job. So it is good that they showed this, that this is how things work. What I would have definitely wanted to see a bit more is a bit more, again, maybe my expectations, a bit more honesty or transparency that, okay, this is also what we got wrong. That why auction dynamics are paramount. It almost felt like everything was being justified that, okay, this is what this, and you can understand, eventually, they don't care about me. They care about you two guys, because they want to prove to you two guys that हम पागल नहीं, हम सोच के बैठे. There is a process which we've followed and we've got to them. So it is a fair thing to make it. I don't think it is too much information, but just keep it at. Don't think too much into it.
I'm wondering if they're going to put up more fun bits or behind the scene bits in terms of like that trip to Jeddah and all of that stuff, and if they overthought it in the flight, because DK has now been proper part of things with Movo Bat. Apparently, Vikas bumped into them in airlines when he was
yesterday. Yeah,
and he brought it up in the WhatsApp chat. But look, again, you guys can let us know in the comments, and all you RCB fans out there, did you like the documentary or not? Let us know. I just want to know what fellow RCB fans think. Right, let's move on, because we're strapped for time, so we'll have to motor on in the next 10 minutes quickly to finish up the best of the rest. BBL started December 15th, yesterday, day before. So just 3-4 games have been on, including 2 today. Whenever I look at this tournament, I'm just catching it through highlights. Inevitably, bloody Perth Scorchers keeps winning any game I see. They won the opening game again. But in that game, I was looking at the scorecard. Peter Siddle still plays.
Why are you surprised?
I'm just like, what? That's insane. Because I know, like, if you look at Perth Scorchers and their team, they have like almost like all the Aussie backup pacers in their team, like your Lance Morris, Jai Richardson, Jason Behrendorff, Andrew, everyone. But I never expected Peter. Bro, Peter Siddle, when did he make his international retirement?
Wait, retirement to nahi yaad yaar.
He's been part of cricket for a while. He's taken last year.
Last 2019. Last ODI is 2019. Last T20 is 2024.
So he qualifies as uncapped.
Yeah, for sure. Qualifies as uncapped. But BBL, guys, anything that you guys liked in the first couple of games or nothing really?
कुछ नहीं सर, यही याद है कि a colleague of mine and myself, we were watching yesterday's game. फिर नालन पहले बॉल पे छक्का मारा, he was just discussing कि हाँ यार ये ऐसे ही खेलता है, पता है आउट भी हो जाएगा, अभी देखना आउट हो जाएगा जल्दी, ऐसा बोला. Second ball bowled. We're like, bro, कुछ तो कर. Why would you do that? Barring that, nothing pretty. Moises Onlikis actually played a very good knockout. Yeah. So we were watching the game. Baki TV पे और कुछ चलता नहीं है. So afternoons are now reserved for BPL and the South Africa-England game, the women's test that's happening. But Moises Onlikis, fantastic game he had. There was a Hassan Khan who played today, and he
Yes.
has an interesting story of his own. Was with the Quetta Gladiators up until a couple of years ago. Was playing very well for them. Moved to the US because he wasn't getting enough opportunities. Jacob Bezel not being available meant that Renegades went for him. So interesting story था, देखने को मिला वो भी. So काफी कुछ कर नहीं पाए, but let's hope he also gets to do a bit more. He seems to be the Nikhil Chaudhary of this season, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So let's hope he also comes good. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, he's the same name that I had. Man, that hopefully he could be the Nikhil Chaudhary of this season. Hopefully.
Okay. Next, quick prediction then from you. BBL winners 2024-2025. I know Brisbane Heat defending champions. Will it go back to the team at the Gabba, or will it be again Perth Scorchers doing Perth Scorchers things?
I mean, Perth and Sydney Sixers are the two teams that you feel they should find a way, because they are very, very good at home. So again, very, very early, but you can count on them to make the playoffs. Baki to anybody's game.
Okay, interesting. Now, the WPL auction did happen yesterday. Now, Akshay and Neha spoke about it in great depth, so we're not going to really get into the details of it, but I will show you this depiction, which reflects the auction buys. And Deanna Doughton was always going to go back to that team, which kind of cancelled her, sadly enough, but she got pocketed for 1.7 crores. Then you look at some of the other names. Simran Sheikh, 1.9 crores to Gujarat Giants there. And not to forget Prema Rath going to RCB, which Akshay, I think, will tell us on. Really quickly then, all those names might just be not household names yet, with all due respect, apart from Doughton. Which were the women who would probably captivate us in this mini auction? We know it's pretty much the same teams, but RCB doing 4 buys. So can you tell us anything about those recruits really quickly?
More than happy to. So RCB, of course, did buy 4 players, like you said. There was Joshita Vijay, there was Jagravi Pawar, then there was Prema Rawat, the leg spinner, who was bought for 1.2 crores, and Raghavi Bisht. In terms of RCB's buys, Joshita, yesterday afternoon, she's a part of the India Under-19 squad that's playing the Asia Cup right now, the first ever Women's Under-19 Asia Cup. I saw her bowl. She's a new ball outswing bowler, and she's an all-rounder. She bats equally well. Apparently, कल batting देखने को नहीं मिला, bowling देखा. I just saw one ball. पहला thought था यार RCB इसको लेना चाहिए. Swing bowlers अपने पास नहीं. रेणुका अच्छा नहीं करी है. She'll be a good option to complement Renuka, who's primarily an in-swing bowler. लिया भाई. Itna khush. She's got a clean action. Her action is very similar to Deepak Chahar, by the way. Just check her action out. It's almost like Deepak Chahar, the way she finishes. Great outswing. I mean, she's got a great outswinger. I don't know if she has the in-swinger as well. Kal jitna dekha, matlab usme to in-swinger nahi tha. She's a she's a all-rounder who bats at number 5, number 6. So she can also add value with the bat. Gun fielder, supposedly. We'll be putting out a reel tomorrow. She plays for Kerala. And of course, Delhi Capitals and former Team India fielding coach Biju George had a lot to say about her, and he's thrilled to bits that she is going to be a part of a side where she can actually play and contribute. She was with Delhi Capitals last year as a net bowler, so that's her. Then there's Prema Rawat, who's a leg spinner. A leg spinning all-rounder, was part of the winning team Mussoorie Titans in the inaugural UPL tournament, women's league, that is. Achhi leg spinner hai, backup option I would imagine for Asha Shobna. Clean action. Has got great control once again. She's also got a googly.
Will she start?
I don't know if she'll start, but Asha Shobna has been nursing a couple of niggles herself. So she's not been fit enough. So I wouldn't be surprised if she starts. But a lot of people have been looking at her batting exploits. At batting, mat dekho, wo batting us level pe pata nahi kya hoga. As I'm just looking at her as a wrist spinner, and she could be another potential starter for us. Raghavi Bish, selected for Team India. Yeah.
Does she beat Asha Shobna in terms of celebrations?
वो देखा नहीं है भाई, celebrations नहीं देखा.
Yeah, she has the Neymar celebration, which is good. Really quickly, then, Knicks, your UP Warriors, did they do anything that you liked in the auction?
Saved a lot of money. I will not say.
Lottery pura 3.4 crores.
The one player, Akshay asked me last time, who do I want? I categorically said, I don't know. I don't know a player if they can buy, because I was so sure they will not even look for Diana Doughton. You have so much money. You got Helena King, but what will Doughton do in Gujarat? They already have Litchfield, Gardner, and enough people to take
Laura
care of
it. Itna to pata hai Gujarat mein. Laura isn't playing.
So, I mean,
no, but my question is, Why did UP stop at 1.7? Like, you eventually went back home with 3.4 crores. वो पैसा किसके लिए बचा है? कटरीना कैफ को
और
और
did
पैसे
you
देने
go? मतलब वही है कि भाई तुम्हारे पास पैसा है तो didn't even go 2 crore तो
That's
you
crazy.
need somebody who's as explosive in the middle order. She slots in. You can talk a lot about Healy, Chamari, and their form and whatnot, but you want somebody who can do that job with grace or somebody else in the middle. But I mean, lost battle, bro. We'll participate.
Just one thing though, before we go ahead, Nikhil bhai, in my first 11 for UP Warriors, I actually have Alana King, and I'm excited to see Alana
Which is
Sophie and
fine.
Deepti.
Huh?
No, do you have Alana in your first 11 or do you have Talia Mitra? Like, have you had the chance to think about it?
The only thing that I'm only worried about is the Pacers. I mean, yes, you have Kranti. But
Kranti is a very good buy, by the way. Very good buy, looking very good.
yeah, it's very raw. I mean, yeah, Kranti and Simon Thakur, they are not. So I don't know how will they going to think about Talia because bowling use karna padega. So maybe horses for courses, but yeah, I don't think they could have definitely done a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, just to finish up the WPL chat, because incredible news was the 16-year-old Tamil Nadu wicketkeeper promising batter. I can't say batsman, batswoman, batter. G. Kamalini. What do we know about her? And Mumbai Indians pocketing her for 1.6 crores. Actually, so obviously she's done something incredible in the domestic circuit. So what is that?
Not just incredible in the domestic circuit, matlab numbers wise or performances wise, it's not like double century maar ke aa rahi hai. It's just the sheer way she's dominated. And again, my first time watching her was yesterday in the India Pakistan game. इससे पहले हमने भी ज़्यादा देखा नहीं था, but kudos to Neha, special shout out. Neha has been talking her up for the last 1 month. She's been telling me, there's this keeper bat from Tamil Nadu. I'm looking forward to watching her at the auction and all of that. JSK, I mean, Junior Super Kings, the initiative by CSK, they also released a video just 7, 8 days ago, where they spoke about how Kamalini is a product of that. So given that, very good to see, in my pocket, someone like her, because she's a like-for-like backup for Yastika Bhatia, left-hander, keeper, slots in at the top. So Yastika herself has been nursing a few injuries in the last 12 months, so she might not be available. Kamalini can definitely walk in. Looks very compact. Actually reminded me a lot of Sai Sudarshan. बहुत अच्छा range है. Against that Pakistan side, I don't know what her game against pace is, because वो Pakistan side में pace वाले कोई नहीं थे. But given her technique and the way she was batting, rest assured she'll be more than decent against paces. भाई spin के खिलाफ तो यार मतलब 12 needed, she hit 2 sixes to finish off the game. इतनी आसानी से front foot आके मारा भाई, मजा आ गया देख के. So she's definitely one to watch out for.
Indeed, and there's a lot of cricketers in this auction you guys don't know about, but Akshay and Neha have, of course, just given you gyan about what we can expect in this upcoming WPL, and even India's current under-19 captain, I think, what's her name?
Nikki Prasad.
Nikki Prasad, she went unsold. She has a good story where she's now been pocketed by Delhi Capitals. So again, all these youngsters getting a chance. We talked about the men's IPL auction, which happened with the 13-year-old going for 1.1 crore. But even in the women's, it's good to see so many names going for that much money. Right, time to almost wrap up proceedings on this Monday Night Live, because we've gone way past the clock. But before that, we have Akshay's quiz and the 12th man segment. And before we get there, what's to watch this week? Lots of cricket, including Zimbabwe, Afghanistan. That series happening there. Rashid is returning for the test, which starts, I think, December 26th. So if you guys love that, pretty much watch the Zimbabwe test match happen. There is more India-Australia action tomorrow. And, of course, day after, New Zealand, England. Whether they'll chase 658, only time will tell. And West Indies, Bangladesh, even though we didn't touch upon it, it was some crazy game where Bangladesh won a nail-biter, even though Rahman Powell did produce
First
one of
ever.
the
First ever win.
First ever win, really?
Yeah, Bangladesh against West Indies. I don't think they won.
Oh, that's mad. That's a stat, if you ever knew that was. Right, time to make you smarter with Akshay's quiz next, because he has one pertaining to the New Zealand-England theme. What is it? Let's find out. Right, it's something to do with Zach Crawley and Matt Henry, so take it away. But first up, last week, what was it and who won it?
So let's have the the question first up. Of course, last week we were talking about Mitchell Starc and how he managed to dismiss Yashasvi Jaiswal of the very first ball in that second test, which made him the only bowler, or rather the second bowler, to have taken the wicket of the first ball of a test match on 3 separate occasions. Of course, outside Mitchell Starc, there is another pacer who also turned out to be a left-arm pacer who's been able to do that. We are talking about none other than Pedro Collins, the left-arm pacer way back in the early 2000s, managed to dismiss Hanan Sarkar on each of these 3 separate occasions. So basically, Pedro Collins dismissed Hanan Sarkar of the first ball of a test match thrice, not once, not twice, thrice. So that was fantastic to watch, to be honest. So that was the correct answer. And the winner, thankfully, this time around is Adreo Bhattacharya. Congratulations on that. So please make sure you, अचानक से ये आ गया, of course. Please make sure you do DM us on Twitter, and our social media team will do the needful. Coming back, of course, to this week's Howzzaat. There you go. Like Nikhil Bhai mentioned, like Avnish also alluded to, it is regarding Zach Crawley and his poor record against Matt Henry. He currently averages 3.62 against the Kiwi pacer, the lowest for any Kiwi top order batter. Top order यहाँ पे top 7 को ही मानते हैं, to be clear. For any Kiwi top order batter against the bowler this millennium. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is a certain batter who's managed to have, of course, a fantastic record against this bowler. So what basically I want you guys to ID is the male batter who has the best record against the bowler since 2000. I'll give you the numbers to make it probably slightly simpler, to give you a hint of sorts. So this is the matchup between a batter or for a batter against a bowler, and that is 241 runs of 456 balls. So a certain bowler has bowled 456 times to a batter, and he's not been able to dismiss him even once. So that's the record, and that also naturally makes him the best. The male batter with the best record against the bowler since 2000. So Zach Crawley, worst record, best record kiska hai all time across teams, across tests since 2000. There you go. That's the question. Now let us see who gets it right. Runs aapko bata diya, 241 runs. Balls have 456. And of course, please, like always, wait for the live stream to end and make sure you key in your answers only in the main comment section in order to be eligible. 241 runs of 456 balls. ID the batter who has a phenomenal record. Bonus points, not bonus points, a shout out to those who are also able to ID the bowler against whom he has his record.
Is it an Indian batter?
मैं आपको बाद में बताता हूँ मैं क्यों आपको अभी से हिंट देने
I'm thinking of like test stalwarts, like people like Chandrapal, maybe Yusuf Johana against like some random person over there. Could be one of those. It could be like Indian stalwart. Exactly. But knowing our cricket community is pretty strong, these guys will fish it out in like matter of seconds. But do let your comments be known in the live, not the live comments, in the other comments indeed. So that was Akshay's Howzzaat quiz. And congratulations to Atrio. I think he won that competition last week. I know I ran off to the bathroom, but I still remember that. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, don't worry. Keep participating and keep being smarter through this quiz. Right. Time to address all your questions. And there were plenty of them throughout this podcast. And we'll take it in the final segment of the Monday Night Live. Right, Archit Ariman brought this up. He's brought it again. And Nix is an absolute brilliant tweeter. So go follow him on Twitter if you guys want all kind of quick cricket yarn and much more. And he goes on to say, today by seeing Nick's first tweet, I feel there was a sense of frustration. There's all the common sentiment of many fans. The number 3 option, we spoke about it at the top of the show, Nix. But just to make this man happy, do you agree with his thoughts about Sheikh Rashid being a potential number 3? Maybe Mushir Khan also comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, there are options, but the fact that, Akshay also mentioned that you have to give them chances. You have to keep sending them to face tougher opponents away from home, and then you can start to make a call. Because what's happened with Abhimanyu Easwaran? You've taken him along, but hardly given him anything to show. And he's got one series, yes, this one prior to this series, but he didn't do well. Does it just disqualify you forever? So I think there has to be more done in terms of finding their values over a period of time. And you see how they are doing. Because you have the resources and you have the money to be able to afford such things. If it is possible, then please do. And then you can churn out and you can figure out, okay, Sheikh Rashid hai, Sai Sudarshan hai, Easwaran hai, kya hai, kya nahi. You will, because see, now what you're doing is you're picking from the same pool. The same thing you can do with your next slot as well, right? You can have a specialist slot and then you can pick from that slot going forward for that format.
Yeah, there's more coming your way, Nix, and I'll just give a few to Akshay after that. But good to great asking us when is the 12th man segment. It's now. Key in your comments, any questions, we'll take them. The guy who follows us from Norway, Marco, is asking Nick's this, is suggesting this, saying it'll be 2058, and Nikhil was saying Travis Head scored runs because he got lucky, but he won't talk about how Bumrah did nothing when the ball got old and his team was battered. Your response, Mr. Popa?
Maybe I would have said he got lucky priorly, and maybe he has. But again, he's done this too far often for you to call it lucky. And that is what I genuinely hope even the Indian team understands, that top of our Cusco, if you're beating him, it's okay to him. He doesn't care. And that is something that you'll have to understand, because Travis said, I mean, already there is enough said about him, and you have seen him enough that he keeps cutting balls off the stumps. He doesn't mind you bowling top of off every time of them, every time. And I discussed Travis Head coming in at the right time. It's not to say he's lucky. It's just to say how teams are constructed and how roles are divided. And if you have struggling openers, they may still be able to do their job by giving you time. So what you have to realize is it's not just always luck. It's a factor of so many combinations that have worked. And Travis said he has immense skill. You can't just keep doing this even against a particular nation just like that. So Bumrah also did nothing, because how much will he do alone? I mean, Travis Head is going after him also, bro. There is no, at this point of time, there is zero pressure on Travis Head from any of India's bowling. So how are you going to expect him to just throw his wicket away? He's not going to do it. He is that good enough. And he knows what to expect from you. So it's not going to happen.
I think Kerry O'Keefe on commentary summed it up pretty well. He said Travis Head walks out to bat with all the consequences being detached fully, and he's just a failure batter, and he defines that perfectly. So I think that sums up well. But appreciate your comment from good old Norway, Marco. We have one for Akshay from a RCB women's perspective. Dr. KP asking Akshay, the women's had a decent auction, but who will keep wickets if Richa misses out in 1-2 matches due to an injury? You can only replace if they're ruled out of WPL. High risk decision of not getting a backup. Your thoughts?
I do agree that it is a risk that they have taken, but you can see where they're coming from. But I don't agree with it. Once again, I feel they could have easily picked up a backup batter. Mil jate koi na koi. Nandini Kashyap went for just 10 lakhs. You could have picked her up itself. Backup batter bhi ho jati, keeping bhi kar lete, to she could have doubled up as a backup keeper as well. But इतना high risk भी नहीं है जितना बोलो, because see, Richa Ghosh टीम इंडिया के लिए खेलती है, 8 मैच आपको खेलना, it's not as hectic as it is as the IPL is, for instance. 3 हफ्ते में आपको 8 मैच खेलना. Maybe they're just banking on the fact that Richa will be playing for them. बाकी this आप जो बोलो ना, बहुत specific instance है कि 1-2 matches के लिए वो injured होंगे, not being ruled out of the WPL entirely. इतना मतलब अभी पता नहीं. I don't know. इतना specific instances के लिए हम जाना शुरू कर देंगे. Then similarly, Renuka Singh Thakur अगर injured हो जाते for 1-2 matches, we don't have backup paces, because I'm expecting Joshita to start. So वो है. I agree with you. I completely.
The catch is you wouldn't be so lenient if this was somebody else.
I don't know. Like in general, this is something I spoke about. I don't know.
You will not be lenient if this wasn't RCB. अगर कोई team backup keeper नहीं.
MI last year did not have a backup keeper per se. Yastika Bhatia played, and it's fine. You can see.
But there's no auxiliary keeper.
Squad.
In case anything happens to Richa, who can don the gloves immediately?
I don't know if Raghavi Bisht can. Uske alawa, I don't know. There isn't anyone else who keeps. And I agree, it is definitely a very risky choice. It is in my head. I'm just thinking Richa Ghosh is a short starter. Baki injury concerns, pata nahi. They should have been smarter about it. I do agree. But theek hai.
Okay, fair. Sticking with the WPL, we have one for next from Tushar Singh, who says, Nikhil bhai, what are your thoughts on the WP team buying another spinner? They had Eccleston. Who else they had? They are obviously your favorite.
Eccleston,
Deepti Sharma, Eccleston, now, yeah. Rajeshwari Gaikwad, Gauhar Sultana.
So they have a lot of spin again. You know why they are going down the road. That it is as evident as it can be. So the point may be that, see, King is someone who's used a lot in the end overs as well. So maybe they are just now very open. We are not going to back pace. We'll just try and bowl maybe Sophie and maybe King, or Sophie and Deepti at times, if you want to, in different routes. It is an aggressive option, but they will definitely miss Talia. But their bowling is still okay. I mean, their batting will really have to step up. Hopefully, the Indian options will get a good, clear role, and the overseas batter right up top. whether it's the captain, whether it is Chamari, whether it is Grace, whoever it is, they will have to have a season like what Perry did to really be in contention, because otherwise it's not good. Your bowling cannot always win you. They can win you tournaments, but you need to still have batting to supplement them.
Yeah, and Alana King also in that 30 lakh budget being brought in. Let's see if she starts for them. Adyan Singhal kept asking us this throughout the show. Is there anyone in this coaching staff of Team India who can go and tell a Virat or a Rohit that where they are going wrong? I don't think so. Even I don't think so. Why do you think that they've not got a batting coach? I know we've had Vikram Rathore in the previous sort of personnel with Dravid and stuff. Do you think now they've consciously or subconsciously ignored that? Like, or do you think again?
Now, I'm guessing Gambhir also acts as the batting coach, like jo bhi chahiye, in terms of help and all of that. That's my thought.
I think personally, sorry to come in, Abhishek Nair plays that role extensively, because we've heard stories from a lot of people.
What is Dennis Carter?
Fielding coach. He's a fielding coach.
No, Philip is still there, right?
Exactly. So he's an assistant coach officially, if I'm not wrong. He's an assistant coach. So I personally feel Abhishek Nair is the guy who's. I mean, DK also revealed a few details about how Abhishek prepared drills for somewhere like KL Rahul and Dhruv Jurel when they went to Australia for the India A tours just now. So that is something that's very obvious that maybe he's the guy who's doing it. I have no idea why they would not put it out simply that he's the batting coach. But I mean, BCCI transparency selling it.
But yeah, fair. Nair is definitely the batting coach. मेरे दिमाग से भी वो नाम निकल गया था. Tendus Carter, it's just that KKR के लिए तो he was the fielding coach, but I do agree. Dilip is still associated. So I actually have no clue. Then Tendus Carter कर क्या रहा है? Bowling coach है, batting coach है, fielding coach है. तो ये क्या कर रहा है?
Yeah, he's just one of Gambhir's best friends. So it's just like, yeah, it's fine, bro. I'll get you a job. It's okay. All of that. I hope it's not that, because even what Moni Morkel said in a press conference and what Bumrah said in a press conference is very, very different to what they said to each other. So that's there. A random question. Tanbir asked us, KL century loading. What do you think? I honestly, fingers crossed, we don't want to put anything on it. But it depends on the weather. If Brisbane gives these Indian batters a little bit of a blue sky when they're consolidating, and KL and say Rohit, yes, Rohit gets into the thick of things, then let's see how it goes. Because, man, it'll be great if Rohit gets some form back in this one. When India have their backs against the wall, the chips are down, Rohit Sharma standing and delivering. I mean, if that'll be great, it'll be great. One more question that I wanted to take in the 12th man came earlier in the day. Can't find it right now. There's so many comments, but it had something to do with, was it Gill?
While you look for the comment, okay, before people come in the comments for West Indies, it was Bangladesh win against West Indies in West Indies.
In West Indies, that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah, so this we kind of, Nick's just answered this, Notorious, the fact that we were trying to give out potential future stars in that number 3 in tests for India. I don't know if there's anyone in the mold of Pujara, because again, the way cricket is just happened in this country with a fast-paced rate, I don't know if they're actually those kind of old school players anymore. Why my comments are not read out, bro? I've been reading all of them out. Good to great. I've been reading.
And just on the last one, maybe if they take a call on the opener, KL is on 3. Thanks.
Okay. You heard it here first. Ritvik Gautam asking us, Akshay, I know Gautam Gambhir is a loudmouth, but this mess is not his doing. Even if you give in to the populist view and get rid of the big guns, the backup is not there, and will people be patient for a rebuild?
Yeah, I wouldn't, of course, entirely blame Gigi there. But this is something I remember we'd spoken about 4-5 months ago as well. When the announcement came that Gigi is going to be India's coach for all formats, this is something we'd spoken about. Gigi has been, nothing short of a legend in ODIs for India as a player. So ODI is a format he's always played well. T20s में we've seen what he did with KKR, both as player and coach. So वो दो formats पे तो हमें भरोसा था. There was always test cricket में क्या होगा? How exactly is he going to look at this format? We'd all spoken about this, and I'd still say that the jury is out on that. I wouldn't, put the markers on him right now, क्योंकि काफी सारे चीजें यार, like Kohli not being in form, Rohit not being in form, bowlers not performing as well as they should have. You can't put entirely, or you can't put all of that on Gigi. Maybe you can fault him for some of the plans. Travis Head, for instance, the planning or the lack of it, that's something that GG has to be held accountable for, because this is something that the backroom staff is responsible for. कि भाई तुम्हारा काम है, you come up with plan A's and try and execute them. अगर तुम्हारे पास plan A's ही नहीं है तो फिर तुम field पे करके आ रहे हो, वो नहीं पता. So that's maybe something he needs to be held accountable for and ask questions for. That's pretty much it. बाकी तो ठीक है. अभी I wouldn't, मतलब, yeah, I agree with Ritvik कि GG, you can't say that dismissals is doing for sure.
Okay, Indian Peter Pan had one earlier as well, saying, can you really disagree that there isn't any impact of IPL/KKR or on selections, including that of the support staff? Again, every particular Team India will have its own IPL narrative. Even when Virat was Test captain, there was, of course, shout outs that he's getting people like Siraj and Chahal into the Indian team and all of that stuff, and even MS way back in the day. So again, Nick, how do you kind of take this comment, just with a pinch of salt, right?
Again, men's cricket. What is India's T20 bowling lineup? Who do they have? Half of them are RCB, bro. See, you can pick and choose.
मैं सोच रहा है कहाँ India's men's.
अरे वुमेन्स में श्रेयंका है, तुम्हारे पास रेणुका है, आशा शोभना है, तो 50% के ऊपर तो हो ही गया. So again, see, it is fair to connect the dots that way, but you will never know how many actual things are that, okay, because he's from this guy, which is why we picked him. So it is fine to connect the dots, but I don't know if you will ever be able to substantially say, okay, because this, do we credit CSK for Ashwin Jadeja now? No. But back then you would blame them for playing them together because of CSK quota. So it is just the nature of the game that every captain will play with a certain set of players they've played in the past. You see that reflecting in everything. You see that reflecting in franchise cricket as well. You see that reflecting in upon, which just Avnish jokingly said about Ryan Tenderskart and Gautam Gambhir. You can connect the dots you want to, but you can never know what is the exact reason behind that.
Yeah, and it's not always an issue. It's not all, like, you can look at it as a feature, not a bug. मतलब अगर देखना ही है तो, we've spoken about this as well. Na? Like, every coach comes with his or her entourage. वो है, it's a thing. Ravi Shastri also chose R. Sridhar, the likes of R. Sridhar, Sanjay Bangar, and all of them. And because you need to ensure that every person is working with people he or she is comfortable with. Same is the case with captains and all of that. So वो comfort level भी matter करता है. It's not always an issue. The issue is when they just keep sticking to players that they prefer over someone else for an extended period. शुरू में एक आध मौका दे दो, अगर वो perform कर जाए उसके बाद तो then it's not their preference. It's just the player playing there on their merit. Simple.
And this is across sport. You look at it in football, you've seen multiple examples how managers get their previous assistant coaches to join them in new clubs, so on and so forth. Even when Ravi Shastri got the job as India head coach, he specifically named that I want Bharat Arun. I need this guy more than anyone else. People suggested, and I think the BCCI offered Zach to Ravi Shastri at the time, and Bharat Arun, and Ravi Shastri, with all due respect to Zach, I need Bharat Arun and not Zach at that point in time. More comments to take, and it's been a fantastic MNL so far, but we have to wrap up. Nearly 2 hours of this madness. Alka saying you're back from Sri Lanka, but Kohli isn't back from his slumber yet. Ouch. And Vishal Kutkani saying positives KLR, Nitish Bumrah, negatives rest of the team. We've discussed all of that in the opening 55 minutes of it. So, of course, enjoy it and like this video, guys, because I know all you guys will eventually listen to us across the course of the week. Dheeraj Madan saying also because Chetesh Pujara used to make the ball old to make it easier. The other middle order batters, Kohli is now no Pujara. Check Kohli innings in absence of Pujara. We discussed that as well, Dheeraj. If you're new, please subscribe and like, because I've never read your comment out before. And Darshan, who's always chatty, has joined us late, but said, I'd say the impact of bias and franchisees is still far more than in national sides. Us, we tried for a whole bunch of New Zealand guys under Vittori and Hessen. Right, it's been a fantastic show, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Lots of people joining us. And Kunal Ranjan had this to say as well. They should try out Rinku and Test, in my opinion. He's technically correct, and they could be, well, the X factor in the middle order. Right. It's been close to 2 hours, like I said, but appreciate all your time. Nikhil and Akshay included. Catch us later on in this week, including that CDC Live Hindi show, which probably will be, I'm guessing, on Wednesday, unless India have some shambolic outing tomorrow in Brisbane. That's all we have. Thanks, Akshay and Nix. I'll catch you guys soon. And what's for dinner? What's for dinner on a Monday, boys?
Apna to ho gaya.
How early do you eat?
I don't do dinners. For me, it's whatever I eat like वो office में हूँ तो office snacks या फिर 6 o'clock is when I usually get done by.
Okay, super. So I'll tune in to cricket tomorrow morning. Jacob Bethel first, chasing that 658, and then Rahul getting a double 100. Let's go, lads. That's all we have. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from us.